Hello, welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And today I want to talk about how our brains can actually help us as we are doing what matters most. But there are some surprising ways that this happens. And so I want to just share my own story today, and I hope that it will resonate with you and support you. I've been a little nervous about recording this episode because this is just the stuff I've been talking with my sisters and my friends about, but they kept saying, you need to share this more. You need to talk about it. So I thought, all right, I'm just going to sit down this morning and I will just assume I have as close of a relationship with you as I do with my sisters, and my friends at my book club. And I hope that you will be understanding of my humanness in this episode. So I recently healed the digestive problems that I've had for the past 6 years and the plantar fasciitis that I've been struggling with for the past 2 months. And it happened practically overnight by reading one book. So I was talking with my book club last night, and we were all going around the table giving like a high. Like, we don't want lows, just tell us your highs. What are the good things going on? And so I just shared, in context, I said, at the beginning of the year, I wrote out a list of miracles I was asking God to help me with. And he's just been like checking off the list for me. But not only am I seeing those miracles that I requested, but I've been receiving more that I didn't even request, that I didn't even know were possible. So I'm just feeling gratitude today for my God and a lot of relief. And I just want to be able to share it with you too. So as we're talking about it though, I know that not everyone is going to have a health condition, but you might have a health condition that could also be healed by this book I'm going to tell you about. Or you might have a loved one that you want to share it with. Pretty much everyone at the table was like, oh, I have a daughter, I have a friend, or I have someone who needs something like this. So anyway, I'm hopeful that the things I share today can bless others in your life and you as well. But another reason I'm sharing this is because this principle of learning, doing, and becoming, it applies to everything that we do here in our community. And when we get the right information at the right time, it will change our lives. It might be learning how to organize, how to create your step system. It might be learning how to invest or set up your finances. It might be how to build relationships or how to have better communication. Whatever it is, when we learn and then we apply the things that we learn, we're going to see how we're going to become that person that we want to be. We're going to feel more empowered, more excited. So I'll dive in. I didn't want this whole podcast to be about my medical issues, so I'm going to cover that part fairly briefly. And I'm not giving medical advice. So please simply listen to this as my personal story, and then you work with your own medical team and you make decisions that are best for you. So I've shared multiple times on this podcast how back in 2020, my body just stopped digesting properly. I went through an intense time of stress, as I think most of us did during COVID. I lost my dad right before the shutdown. Then all our family, our children were at home. Our daughter was in Ukraine serving a mission for a church, and we were trying to support her while being home with all the kids. Our business doubled because at Learn, Do, Become, we help people, get out of piles and overwhelm. And when COVID happened, people couldn't handle the mess at home anymore because they couldn't leave it and they needed to get it organized and they had time. So the business doubled, our team expanded, and a lot of great things were happening. But the stress was just too much for me, I guess, subconsciously. So I kept going. I didn't really know what was happening, but all of a sudden I just got sick while eating pretty much everything. And so I went and did so much medical testing, like all the things, all the different swallow tests and scans and the ones they mail you, and, they put me to sleep and did a scope and like everything. I even went to a chiropractor who gave me like bovine prostate. I'm embarrassed to even say that on the podcast, but Eric's like, what is in this pill? Like bovine prostate? I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, I should edit that out. I'm just going to keep going. So I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me, but even though I spent months and months and thousands of dollars trying to figure out why I was so sick, every answer came back that I was just fine. So I felt like, I've got to go take matters in my own hands and just figure out what I'm sick by. So I started lists of things I could eat and things I couldn't eat. And I felt like I was a science project. But I finally figured out that oil and butter were the main challenges for me. So I switched to an oil-free plant-based diet, and I'm still keeping that diet because I feel so good on it. But it helped me feel good. So I wasn't sick anymore. The problem, though, was that I couldn't even eat at a restaurant if I wanted to, because every restaurant uses oil in their foods, even their plant-based foods. So I've been carrying thermoses with me everywhere I go, freeze-drying food to take with me on trips, and feeling this huge amount of stress every time I leave my home because I never knew if I would have food. So it was like that basic survival. If Eric and I go on a trip and they only have restaurants that have oil, like I can't survive. I can't eat. And I just felt so much stress. And so every time we travel, Eric would say, okay, here's a kitchen, here's a refrigerator, here's where the grocery store is, and I'd have to have an hour in the morning to prep all my food before we went everywhere. Or we'd go on a date night with someone and I'd be pulling a thermos out of my backpack while they're all ordering food. And then I'd have to explain why I couldn't eat anything. And I'm sitting there with the thermos, it's just, it's fine. And I felt good. And so I wasn't, going to change it. But there was a constant stress that I cannot survive unless I'm just at home or surrounded by my own food. Okay, then on a totally unrelated note, I started walking a lot more a few months ago, and I was just feeling so great. I'm like increasing my steps, feeling awesome. But one morning I woke up and my left arch was just super sore. It hurt with every step. And so I did some online research and saw it's probably like a plantar fasciitis. So I started doing all the stretches and using the tools. There's a water bottle, you freeze it and roll your foot on it. There's things you can buy on Amazon, the things that you can roll on your feet. Anyway, I did all the things that it said to do online, but the pain wasn't going away. And so finally I went to the podiatrist and he prescribed like an anti-inflammatory medicine and physical therapy. And he said, I can give you a cortisone shot or do surgery if those things don't work. And so for the next month, I did my physical therapy every other day. Like, I didn't want to go get surgery for this. I'm like, seriously, I just walked too much and now I need surgery? What's going on? So I was icing and heating my foot. I bought this little heat band. Anyway, I was doing all the things and it helped a little bit, but still every single step was painful. And if you've ever experienced that, you know how it feels. You're just trying to live life and all you can think about is your foot hurts like every time you take a step. And so I finally went in and got a cortisone shot, hoping that would help. But the shot hurt so much, I couldn't even walk for a whole week. And it didn't, then after that, the pain of the shot went away. I still couldn't get rid of the foot pain. So I just started wondering, oh my goodness, I'm going to need surgery. What if I can never move again without pain? I'm watching every video about plantar fasciitis on YouTube. Like YouTube is still suggesting them to me. Like, you really care about feet. And so anyway, I was trying to cure it. But it was literally taking, 30 to 50% of my energy every day was just managing foot pain. So I couldn't figure out what to do. So that's where I was. I'm like 6 years of not being able to eat, a couple months of not being able to walk, and just feeling really frustrated. And meanwhile, Eric is wondering why his 48-year-old wife seems more like an 80-year-old. He's like, anyway, he'd make all these funny jokes about his 80-year-old wife. And he's super patient with me. But he stopped even trying to plan trips for us because it was so stressful to take me away from my home and my comforts. Because Eric's like, I want to get out there and hike. And, we love Bryce Canyon. I'm like, I can't walk. And, anyway, it was starting to feel like my life was just slowly coming to a halt. So that was my situation. And one day, as Eric and I were walking Sunny, I was limping and I was trying to walk Sunny, and we were just chatting. And he said, when you came out of your post-viral fatigue a few months ago through brain training, there's a podcast where Raylan Eagle and I talk about it, but she helped me get over that after being in bed for several months. He's like, that was really interesting how it was your brain that helped you overcome these challenges. And he said, what do you think about maybe your other health issues also being related to that? Like, I'm not saying it's in your head. I know that the pain is real. I'm just wondering if maybe there's also something going on in your body that you just kind of keep coming up with things that are hurting you, And of course, when he said that, I felt a little defensive because yes, the pain, the symptoms were not just in my head. And I've tried before just saying, oh, it's in my head, I'm fine. But I did wonder if it was true because like if I would eat oil, I'd even just take one bite and I'm sick. Like it's not even in my stomach yet. How am I sick by one bite? And yeah, this weird foot thing. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, how does your foot start hurting if it's in your brain? Like what's subconsciously? What am I doing? So these are the kinds of conversations we're having. And so you've also probably had situations where you've wondered the same thing about your pains or your loved one's pains, where you're thinking, this doesn't really make sense. Like there's nothing really wrong. Why are we struggling so much? Or why does it seem to happen to the same person over and over again? Like, why does this person seem to attract every ailment? Or maybe that's me. Why am I attracting every ailment, right? And so if you've been kind of thinking that, like doctors can't find anything wrong with you and you can't explain it, but there's real pain. Anyway, I just want to share what changed my life. Okay. So I had read the book called Mind Body Prescription. That was really good. And it's mostly about back pain. And I've never had back pain, so that wasn't my issue. Anyway, I thought that perhaps I should go read that book again. So I went onto Spotify and I clicked on the book Mind Body Prescription, but then I noticed that there were some related books. And one of them was called Pain Free You. Okay. And it's by Dan. Sorry, I forget his last name, but I'll put it on the show notes page. So Dan wrote this awesome book called Pain Free You, and I love the title. So I started listening. And I actually started skipping around for the first few chapters because I didn't want the backstory, even though I did go back and listen to the whole book eventually. But at the beginning, I just wanted to know, what do I do to get rid of my pain? And maybe you've even skipped the first part of this podcast, so you could just get to this part. What do I do? April, tell me. Okay, so it was this book now that has completely healed my 6 years of digestive issues and my plantar fasciitis. So as of this day, as of right now, as I'm recording, I can eat anything and I can walk without any pain. And it's only been a couple weeks since I found the book, and I've been feeling good for over a week. So it was like within that week, those things were completely gone. Like miracle, right? Now, I definitely want you to go buy his book and support him because Dan has changed my life. But I am going to give you a brief overview so you can get a picture of how it actually works. This is what I've been telling my sisters in my book club and all my friends because I can't stop talking about it. Like, guys, guess what? I just found this great book. And every time I tell people a story, they all have the same questions. And so, okay, here we go. The core message of the book is that pain and symptoms are created by the brain to keep us safe. So we have to teach our bodies that we are safe. Now, I honestly don't know exactly why I went into kind of a quasi fight or flight mode for so many years, but I think it's mainly, like, as I really think about it, and this is where it's like hard for me to talk about some of the things on the podcast because it is very personal and sometimes I don't know who's listening. So I hope you're a nice person who's listening. But I think it's a lot of the stuff that was happening behind the scenes here in our business, the business side of LearnDoBecome. Like, I love LearnDoBecome. But anyone who's ever run a business or anyone who's ever lived a life where there's things that happen behind the scenes that are very difficult to manage, then I think you understand. And I can't go into detail, and I'm not going to because some of the information is private or involves other people. But given my personality is more of like the people-pleasing, accommodating one, that's not a great match for some of the challenges that are the way I perceive the challenges in trying to actually run a huge community, build a business, have a team. Like there's a lot that goes on, and I'm mostly the face and the voice of the business, and there's just kind of different kind of pressure there. And anyway, so I think my body went into kind of fight or flight for a lot of reasons. So, a little side note, that's actually one of the reasons why I'm going to be talking more about entrepreneurship and business building inside of like our Arise membership, because I know that all of us need to earn money and all of us want to have purpose and all of us want to or create something that's meaningful in our lives. Some people want to be entrepreneurs, some people don't, and that's totally fine. I totally get it. But for people who do want to be entrepreneurs, I've learned a lot I've made a lot of mistakes over the years and done things that caused me personal stress when I didn't have to have that stress. So that's something that I'm excited to share with people, is how you can make adjustments to create a business that you actually love and that doesn't have to be stressful. So currently, I don't feel that pressure and stress. I'm excited about Learn, Do, Become, but there were a lot of years that were really hard. So I'm just kind of throwing that in there because if you're like, why are you so sick? What's going on? And in your life or the people that you love, you might need to do some deeper digging and say, like, how is my personality filtering what's coming into my life? And maybe are there some things I need to speak up about or I need to change that I can't just keep living with? Because if you've read the book, When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate, or there's lots of books out there talking about how if you don't make the changes or say the things you need to say, your body's going to absorb it and maybe just get sick and communicate with you that way. So back to the book. I opened up Pain for You and I started in chapter 6, where Dan outlines how you can know if something is a real health issue or if it's something just caused by your brain. And he just has this checklist he goes through. He does have a caveat that you do want to get checked out by a doctor to make sure there isn't something serious that you're missing. But if your doctors tell you there is nothing wrong, and then if these criteria that he outlines are true for you, you can feel pretty confident that it's something in your brain. So in my case, I'd been through all the medical testing. Everyone says I was fine. I had my foot x-rayed at the doctor. He said there was nothing wrong with it. Anyway, and I fit many of the criteria that Dan outlined in Pain for You. So I won't go through all of them here, but 2 of them were that the pain or the symptoms kind of started out of nowhere. Like there wasn't a specific injury or one event. And the pain went on longer than was typical for healing. And he emphasizes that the body is made to heal. So when pain becomes chronic and it lasts for years and years and years, that's really not consistent with how the body actually works. Like the body is made to heal. And that really made sense to me, and it explained a lot because I'd felt so frustrated about the years that I had been suffering with no relief. And I just kind of stopped even thinking about going to the hospital or doctors or anyone because it's like everyone just tells me I'm fine. So I guess I'm just kind of stuck. But then he talked about the next step. Okay, so what do you do? He shared the power of visualization and believing that you could actually heal yourself. So for visualization, for the eating side of things, I decided I was going to start by putting butter on a corn cob. Like, I have been eating dry corn for years, and we got some fresh corn from the grocery store, and I really wanted some butter on it and salt and pepper. So we planned the family dinner. This is for Sunday dinner. I visualized myself the whole day, like eating the corn with the butter on it and having no problems. And then with my walking on that side, I visualized myself just walking the dog and not having any pain. So I started just kind of creating that little pathway in my brain saying, look, I'm going to eat with no issues, no symptoms. I'm going to walk with no pain. It's going to be great. So then he recommended that we started slow. Like if your foot's hurting, don't go run a marathon, right? And I'm not going to go sit down and eat a bucket of fried chicken or something like that. Like I was starting super slow. And then he said, if you feel the symptoms or pain, you act indifferent, unbothered. We just thank our brain for trying to keep us safe. And then we let our brain know that we are safe and we don't need the pain anymore. And we have to be consistent about it. We can't just one day say, I am fine, I am indifferent, there is no stress here, there is no issue. And then the next day we freak out and say, oh, I bet the pain's back. Like you can't do that. You just have to be totally consistent. So that's what I did. So that night I sat down with my family and I said, guys, I'm putting butter on my corn tonight. Like I'm going to be able to eat. This is a brain glitch. Like I'm going to be okay. And my kids are like, Mom, are you sure? Are you okay? And like I'm sitting there eating the corn. My whole family's staring at me like, guys, I'm going to be fine. And so I ate it and I had like a couple little symptoms kind of pop up, but I just took deep breaths and I told my brain, I am okay. Thank you. I'm okay. So it was fine. I was fine the whole night. I slept fine the whole night. One of my children actually texted me the next day, said, how were you? How was the butter? Were you sick at all? I'm like, no, I was fine. And normally I would have been up the whole night, totally sick, but I was fine, slept fine, no problem. And so then with my walking, that first day, I just told my brain, I'm not in pain, I'm okay. But I probably that first day had about 30 to 40 little twinges of pain in my arch or in my heel as I walked. But every time I just acted indifferent and unbothered. I told my brain I was safe, everything was okay, and then the pain would go away. So I'm walking and like it hurts, and then it stops hurting because I say it's okay, and then it hurts a second, and then it goes away. I'm like, okay, this totally is my brain, because if you really are injured, it's not going to start and stop. Like that was silly. So that first day, it was maybe 30 to 40 times twinges. Then the second day, it was like 12 twinges of pain. And then the third day, it was like 6. And then for the rest of the week, I maybe felt like a little twinge here and there, but then the pain went completely away. And now I've been walking like 6 to 8 miles a day, no pain at all. I just came back from a walk with Sunny, a nice 2-mile morning walk, like not even a twinge. It was fine. So, okay, then once I ate that corn successfully, a few days later, I told Eric I wanted to go out to lunch with him to a local restaurant where I hadn't been able to eat for years. And they have a special salad that has like rice and beans, but the rice and the beans both have oil in them, so I haven't been able to go. So sometimes I've been go to the restaurant and order like lettuce and pico de gallo, and I bring my own rice and beans in my thermos. I mean, it's been ridiculous. And so I just said, I want to go eat this salad, and they have this dressing that's, it has some oil in it too, so I hadn't had the dressing forever. And so I just said, okay, I just want to eat this salad. And so that whole morning, I just pictured myself eating it without any symptoms. And then we went to lunch, and I got my order and sat down. And after eating about a third of the salad, I just started crying at the lunch table. And Eric's like, hey, April, people might think I'm being mean to you. Anyway, he's just trying to what are people going to think? I'm sitting here, my wife's just bawling over her salad. And I couldn't stop crying because I thought that I would never be able to eat at a restaurant again. And I also felt like in that moment, I felt like the world just opened up to me because I could actually travel without carrying every meal in my suitcase. I could go out with friends again. And then I'm like, and I can walk. And I thought, okay, every other pain or symptom I might get in the future, now I know I can cure that as well. Like it was this rebirth while I was eating my salad. Anyway, Eric took a couple pictures of me. He was just laughing. Like, this is amazing. I'm so happy for you. So yes, I still mostly eat my oil-free plant-based menu because it just makes me feel great. Like I just don't love heavy meals, and I actually don't go to restaurants that often. But there has been such a difference just in knowing that my body doesn't have to be afraid of eating food. So hopefully I've given enough of an overview that you're going to go buy the book or listen to Dan's audiobook, Pain Free You. The way I do audiobooks right now is I buy a Spotify Premium, and it gives the account holder, like I think it's 15 hours of audiobook listening. So you can pick random books. You can just pick one and listen for half hour and then pick another one. So that's typically what I do. And then if I find a book I love, then we buy it on audiobooks.com. So we own the audio, and then we can listen over and over again. And then Eric and I share that account. Anyway, that's how we do it. Anyway, I also hope, though, that what I've shared today will get you thinking about your own situation and what your brain may be doing behind the scenes. Because perhaps you've been wanting to get organized and build your step system, but you just never do it because you feel stuck. Or you come up with some other reason of why you have to be in some craziness because your brain's trying to keep you safe. Because maybe you're thinking, oh, once I build my system, then I'm going to be so organized that people are going to expect things of me, or I'll have to expect things of myself. And you kind of don't want to step into that. I've heard that over and over and over again from our community members. I think we all know that our brains are often wired with limiting beliefs that prevent us from actually doing the things that will bring us joy. And it's not weakness, it's protection. What you're feeling, what you're experiencing, that's all very real. But it also, in many cases, can be changed if you want to. And yes, I was somewhat embarrassed to share this story because I don't want to be known as that sick lady over in the corner making up a bunch of illnesses. That is not the identity I want. I want to be healthy and vibrant and energetic. But I feel that way now, and I feel so excited because I know that I can keep doing this. This is evidence that when something is in my head or when my brain is trying to keep me safe, I can overpower that and say, I am safe. It's all right. And safe doesn't even mean that everything in the world has to be good. It can just mean I can manage and I can get by. I have 2 full bins of my mom's journals. She was a journaler and she'd write down all the quotes and ideas and thoughts and all the things in these journals. So I've just been going through one at a time, and I opened one the other day and she had a quote by Robert Louis Stevenson that said, "Anyone can carry his burden, however hard, until nightfall. Anyone can do his work, however hard, for one day. Anyone can live sweetly, lovingly, purely, till the sun goes down. And this is all that life really means." Anyway, seeing that in her handwriting was just really sweet to me the other day. And I just want to share with you that if you're going through life like I am, like we all are, and maybe you're feeling this heaviness, or you're feeling this pain, or you're feeling this overwhelm, I just want you to feel the encouragement from us here to learn, to do, and to become. It doesn't happen all in one fell swoop, but it happens in little microbursts, 10 minutes at a time, to set up your system, to get organized. And then, like in our Rise community, we do little 10-minute microbursts to help us with our goals, to be able to be financially sound and debt-free and invest and be able to retire, to be able to have really strong relationships, to be able to have physical and mental health, to live our purpose, to connect with our higher power, be organized, all these things. It just happens a little bit at a time. I personally feel excited knowing that I will continue to learn and do and become. And it's okay if I have weaknesses or I haven't learned everything from the beginning. I can learn it now, and it can come at just the right time. And every time I learn something and feel a lift and feel relief, I just love to share it with our community, because I'm hopeful that it will give you that same lift, and then you can radiate that out to your loved ones. And we can all feel a little bit more connected and supported as we continue to grow. So, okay, sending lots of love, and we will see you soon at LearnDoBecome.com.